I lost my daughter after my cheating ex-wife turned her against me, but a year of lies collapsed when the truth came out, and I finally fought back for custody. So, my daughter, Jenny, 17 years old, stopped speaking to me, a 44-year-old male, last year, right in the middle of my divorce proceedings. I had no idea why, and even lost custody of her during the legal battle, because she insisted that she wanted to be with her mother, my ex-wife Cheryl, 42 years old, and not me. She said that it was because she got along with her mother better than she did with me, but that was a blatant lie. Jenny had always been more on my side. The switchover happened randomly and without explanation. I never even got to the bottom of it because she moved out and started living with her mother soon after the custody battle began, and did not talk to me unless it was about important stuff. I was heartbroken and tried to get her back on my side a lot of times, but she was very clear about what she wanted, and that was to live with her mom. So, after some time I stopped trying. After the divorce, I still had visiting rights, but she told me that she did not want to see me anymore, not after whatever had happened with her mother. I did not understand what she was referring to because I had not done a thing. It was Cheryl who cheated on me, and that is why we were getting divorced anyway. So, I tried to get her to explain, but she blocked me. When I tried to visit her at Cheryl's new address, my ex-wife told me that I was not welcome there. So, in spite of having the right to see my daughter, I was not able to even see her, much less speak to her, for almost 1 year. I thought about going back and fighting for her legally, but I did not want to drag my daughter through another legal battle, because the first time around had drained her enough emotionally. I accepted my fate, even though it sucked, and said nothing, even though I was being deprived of any time with my daughter. But a couple of days ago, Jenny finally showed up at my door with all her things. The first thing she did was give me a huge bear hug as soon as I opened the door. I did not ask any questions, and just let her come in, because I was overjoyed to see her after a whole year of being away from my only daughter. She and I quietly sat down, and then, after a while, she told me the truth about why she had taken Cheryl's side in the divorce, and stopped speaking to me despite knowing that her mother had cheated on me. So apparently my ex-wife had told Jenny that I was emotionally toxic and would often verbally attack her over small things whenever Jenny was not around. She painted me as a toxic, insecure, and generally awful person who switched off that side of me whenever Jenny would be around. To prove her point, she had shown Jenny a chat where I was insisting that my wife wear a sweater to a work event, but she did not tell her the context behind it. So, it came off as controlling, rather than me being concerned about what had happened. I told Cheryl to wear a sweater because it was freezing, and she had worn a really flimsy and thin jacket that would not keep her from feeling cold. But she had told Jenny that I had said that to control her outfit, to make sure she did not attract too much male attention. Then there was another screenshot of a chat where I was arguing with her about this one time that she had flirted a little too much with a friend of mine, right in front of me. She insisted that she was just being friendly and that I had misread the situation. But I knew what I had seen, and I was very upset about it, so I had been very rude to her in the screenshot, which of course, Cheryl used to her advantage. She made my daughter think that she was innocent, and I was the one getting mad over nothing at all. There were several more chats that Cheryl had shown her completely out of context. No wonder, after almost 9 or 10 of these, Jenny was convinced that I was the guy her mother told her I was, and not the guy she had known herself for 16 years. So, she took her mother's side in the divorce without even letting me have a chance to explain and tell her the truth. I was disappointed that she believed her mother, but then again, she was just 16 and very impressionable. Even though she had had a better relationship with me earlier, she had a good relationship with her mother too. So I cannot blame her entirely for believing whatever her mother told her, especially when she had proof, even if the proof happened to be very misleading texts taken out of context. Of course, she had a lot of things to say about me that were not available in the form of texts either. After telling Jenny all of this, Cheryl convinced her that she had cheated on me just because I had driven her to it. She had had an affair with a coworker of hers, and I had caught her after almost 7 months because she had forgotten to take her phone when she went to use the toilet one day. That was the end of our marriage. Even up until that point, Jenny was on my side. But one day, Cheryl managed to talk her into believing this ugly side of me, and that is what she used to turn her against me. She manipulated Jenny very cleverly and did everything out of court, never bringing up any of this while the lawyers were present, because then she would be caught, and I would know what she was up to. So, she did everything behind my back, and within a couple of days, Jenny had turned over from my side to Cheryl's, which is how she got custody. She did not even have to fight too hard for it, because she had already put in the work with Jenny, and now my daughter herself did not want to live with me anymore. So, as much as I hate her, I have to hand it to her, she played it pretty cleverly. Unfortunately, after almost 1 year of not speaking to me, Jenny had finally caught on, because she had overheard Cheryl talking on the phone to her cousin, who was going through a divorce, and advising her to do something similar with her own kid, to do the same thing that she had done with Jenny. It all clicked into place when she overheard that, and then that was it. She did not even tell Cheryl before she came back home. She just left, and only left a note saying that she was having a sleepover with a friend, so I would not get into trouble over this. Once she told me all of this, I told her she was now going to be living with me, and she seemed happy about it. She probably expected me to be mad about it, because she had abandoned me without an explanation for almost 1 year, but I do not blame her. I blame the 42-year-old woman who took advantage of an emotional teenager's vulnerability, even more so since she was having trouble processing her parents' divorce. That was it. I called my divorce attorney and told him whatever was going on. I did not know what I could do to get back at her legally, but then he informed me that I could get her in trouble for intentional parental alienation, and since I had heard about it from the horse's mouth, it would be a lot easier to prove. We would have to file for full custody and modify the already existing custody arrangement, so Jenny could live with me now, and this would be useful in that context. I told him to get started on the paperwork immediately, and he did so. Once 2 days had passed, Jenny told me that she had received several calls from her mother asking her where she was, because she had already made calls to her friend's house to ask about when the sleepover would end, but she was not there. So, now Cheryl was pissed and wanted an answer to her questions, because she had already guessed that she was probably with me. I decided that there was no point in trying to hide it from her anymore, since she would hear from my attorney in a couple of days anyway. I called her up and told her that Jenny was now living with me, and that I had heard what she had said to her to turn her against me. She tried to play innocent when I brought it up with her, but I was no fool. I reminded her of all the out-of-context screenshots she had used to manipulate Jenny. I told her point blank that I was going to make sure I got custody of Jenny now, and that she needed to watch out for another civil lawsuit coming her way, either slander or defamation, because of the things she accused me of. I was mad and did not think much before saying the things I was saying. All of a sudden, Cheryl and I were screaming at each other because of what I had said to her about another civil lawsuit. She was really pissed off, because apparently, it was bad enough that I was trying to take her daughter away from her, and that I had no right to sue her additionally either. It was ridiculous that she was complaining about it because in my head this was the least that I could do. I told her that it did not matter what she felt about the situation. It was going to happen, and I was going to make sure that she paid for all that she had done to me. I hung up after that, and I did not check my phone for hours, since I did not even feel like speaking to her or anyone else at that point. I went out on a walk afterward, and left Jenny at home by herself for like half an hour while I walked around to cool off. When I came back home, Cheryl was waiting in the living room for me, and Jenny was sitting opposite her, looking like she was going to cry. It was Jenny's expression that really set me off, because I could tell that she had been yelled at by Cheryl after the things she had done. Cheryl had no right to say a word to our daughter. I flipped out at her, and we got into a huge screaming fight after I told Jenny to go back to her room, so her mother and I could talk. The crazy part was that she was not even fighting with me over Jenny. She was fighting with me because she believed that a civil lawsuit was too excessive, and that she could not afford this anymore. After some yelling, she broke down and told me that she had lost her job a couple of months back because she had broken up with the guy she had had the affair with, and he told everyone about their affair, which she had managed to keep a secret for a really long time. So now she was in between jobs, struggling with money, and it was kind of a relief that Jenny had found out about the truth, so she was going to come live with me, because it just meant that she would have to spend less on stuff. I was shocked that she was saying these things and that her money, her job, and stuff were more important to her than her own daughter. So after her mini meltdown, I sat back down with her and told her that she was the worst mother on this planet, and that she deserved this lawsuit and everything else coming her way after this. Then I asked her to leave, and she did. But since then, she sent me a lot of texts saying that I am being a total jerk for suing her over something so petty, just for revenge. I do not think I am being petty at all. But I do not know, maybe I should be a little less vengeful because honestly I do not really need to go out of my way to hurt her. Jenny is going to live with me now, and that is what I wanted all along, but I also really want Cheryl to pay. So, am I the asshole for suing my ex-wife now, even though she is ready to give up our daughter's custody after she cheated and lied to our daughter about me? Hi guys. So, I am not going ahead with the civil lawsuit. I did go through the comments and most people did not see anything wrong with what I was doing, but to be honest, I think I want to get the custody case over with first before going out of my way to sue my ex-wife. Revenge should not be my top priority right now. It should be my daughter's well-being. The less involvement I have with Cheryl in any capacity at all, the better off both of us will be. I told my attorney to call the slander lawsuit off. but we are obviously still going ahead with the custody modification. She has already been served, and we are meeting with the mediator in a couple of days. My daughter has already sent me all the proof I need to have. When I asked her if she wanted her mother to have partial custody, she told me that she did not, and wanted me to have full custody, because after whatever had gone down with her mother the other day, she did not even want to meet the woman. She apologized to me profusely for leaving me behind, and never even bothering to give an explanation for her behavior. Apparently, when Cheryl had come over the other day, she had been nasty towards Jenny for moving to my place without even bothering to tell her mother about it. I had come back home just 10 minutes after her arrival, and those 10 minutes had been enough for Cheryl to give Jenny an earful about how ungrateful and selfish she had been in this entire divorce and custody situation. She said that not only was she hurting her mother, but she had also hurt me first, which is true. But like I said, it was mostly Cheryl's fault. She just wanted to gaslight Jenny into believing that this was all somehow her own fault, because like always, she just did not want to take the blame, even if she was the one who had screwed up. I am still putting it here in much more polite and respectful ways, but Cheryl's way of speaking to Jenny had been far more brutal and cruel. I had been married to the woman for a little over 20 years before this. I know how vicious she can get when she wants to, and it was surprising that she did not even spare Jenny from facing that side of hers. I am glad that our daughter came back to me, because Cheryl is obviously a lot more interested in irrelevant crap than being a good mother. So be it then. So, there has been a really unexpected but unsurprising turn of events. Cheryl decided that she wanted to give up custody of her daughter altogether. It came as a surprise to me and my attorney, and we had no idea what to do when we learned about this. I have got to say, I was shocked that she had actually gone through with it, because so far, I had always believed that she would at least have a little love in her heart for Jenny. Not anymore, though. She wants nothing more than just to live on her own and save money. It is strange. I know she is in between jobs and stuff, but her getting laid off at one place does not mean she is never going to get a job again. This is just a temporary phase, so I cannot figure out why she would make such a permanent decision, like terminating her parental rights altogether, over a phase of her life. Hypothetically speaking, even if she just opted for visiting rights, then she still would not have had to spend much on Jenny, apart from one weekend or two at most. Not even that, perhaps, since Jenny has made it very obvious that she wants to live with me and not her mother. It is crazy how she is ready to just abandon her daughter, and I have a nagging feeling that there is more to this situation than she is letting us in on. Cheryl worked in a very well-reputed firm and was a department head, so she got paid pretty well. 3 months without a job is not enough to make her broke or whatever. She used to be big on savings as well, and unless she went out of her way to live a spendthrift lifestyle in the past year, she could not have possibly spent all her savings and run herself to the ground. It does not add up, and I know she maintained the same normal standard of living after our divorce as well. Since Jenny has lived with her mother for 1 year, and she confirmed that Cheryl did not suddenly start living like a millionaire after the divorce. I have my doubts and theories, but they are all unlikely for now. I am guessing that I just have to thank my lucky stars that I get to have full custody of Jenny without having to go through the trouble of yet another legal battle after last year. I do not think any of us wanted it. So, in a way, this is good for us. Weird, sure, but okay. Hey everyone. So, Cheryl signed away her rights today. It was emotional, tense, and really awful, but it is done now. Jenny has been upset the entire day, but there is not much we can do. Cheryl did hug and kiss her daughter on the forehead one last time before leaving, but it was the last time foreseeably. I do not like Cheryl, and I definitely do not trust her after all the things she has put this family through. But even then, she was a major and important part of this family for a really long time, and even though she did a lot of things wrong, it is hard to forget the good times. I feel bad, as does my daughter. But we are there for each other, and we are going to hope that we make it through these tough times together. I do not know what to say anymore, because even though I have been building it up in my head and preparing myself and Jenny for this day mentally for a while now, I did not notice how hard it would hit us when it finally happened and was done with. It feels weird. Jenny is not going to be Cheryl's daughter anymore legally, but, well, that is how it is then. I do not know what to say or how to feel about all of this, but my feelings come second right now. I am mostly just worried about Jenny. She is too young and vulnerable to be going through all of this at her age. It just does not feel right to me. Hello everybody. So I have big news for everyone who has been following our story, and by big news, I do not mean happy news. It is big in a way that makes you want to scream out of frustration. I met with a friend today, who is Cheryl's second cousin. We did not find out about the connection until after we started dating, because Cheryl is not very close to her family. She was raised by her mother, and this friend of mine was related to her on her dad's side, who had passed away when she was 7 years old. Anyway, we had gone to high school together, so that is how we were friends from even before I knew Cheryl. We met for lunch, and I tried not to talk about Cheryl or Jenny or the situation between the three of us, but it just came up organically when my friend asked me how I had been doing emotionally. I ended up telling him all about the kind of emotional whirlwind I had been through in the past couple of weeks. I had not talked about these things in detail to any of my friends, because it felt too personal and too upsetting to discuss. I talked about it with my parents, but everyone knows that is not the same as discussing it with a friend, and my attorney, he is a friend, but he is also a lawyer, so it was hard to have a heart-to-heart talk with him about things like these without it turning into a discussion about our next step legally. So, this was pretty much the first time I talked about this with a friend. God, I am so lucky that I did. When I started telling him how Cheryl gave up custody of Jenny and signed her rights away because she lost her job and wanted to save money, he started looking really confused, and I had to stop to ask him why. So, he told me that the reason he had asked me how I was coping with the divorce was because he had seen Cheryl's posts on her Facebook accounts where she was vacationing on some beach with her boyfriend. He figured that that is what I had been talking about, but I had gone the other way. And that is how we figured out that Cheryl had played me for a total fool. In all probability, she had not lost her job, and neither had she been broken up with by her boyfriend. It was all just a really cheap, sickening, and pathetic strategy to get me to take Jenny back so she could live child-free. I could not believe my eyes when my friend showed me posts of her smiling and laughing happily with her boyfriend on a yacht. Certainly not how a broke person in between jobs would be behaving. I could not have seen those posts by myself, because I am blocked, and so is Jenny. And during the divorce, all our common friends had picked my side because, she cheated on me, so they did not follow her either. But luckily, she had forgotten to sever all her ties with me, and her cousin was still on her friend list. I was disgusted when we figured out the truth, because it was crazy to think that she had gone to such an extent just so she would not have to deal with Jenny's responsibility anymore. If that was the case, then she could have just told me about it, and I would have gladly taken Jenny, but no. She wanted to portray herself as the victim, and so she did something so low. I literally could not even bring myself to say anything after I saw that post of hers. My friend and I just sat in silence at our table for a while as I tried to process this. I tried to make up excuses for her in my head, but I just could not. I had done enough of it for her in the last few months, but I just could not excuse this behavior, not after she voluntarily chose to hurt Jenny just so she could have her fun. I remember how emotionally devastated Jenny was the day she signed away her rights as a parent. As if that was not bad enough, now I find out it was nothing but a huge lie that she told us to cover for herself. I do not know what to do now, especially because I know I have to tell Jenny. I owe her the truth, and I know it is going to break her heart, but the girl needs to know. I told my daughter the truth just a couple of hours back. I am surprised that she is dealing with it so well, and it feels like she has grown up overnight. After I told her the truth, she just shrugged it off and said that it did not matter to her anymore. She had already cut herself off from her mother the day she left home to come back to me and apologize, and the day Cheryl signed away her rights was pretty much the last straw for her. So, now it does not matter to her what Cheryl does and what lies she tells us. If she wanted to get rid of us so badly, she should have just told us the truth. It is not like Jenny would have tried to force her way into Cheryl's life, and neither would I have asked her for child support or anything. I earned well enough on my own and had been supporting our family for a really long time before Cheryl started working. So, that is it. I guess we are not going after her or anything. We are just letting this all go. It has been 3 months since the day I sat Jenny down and told her the truth about the yacht, the boyfriend, and her mother's fabricated poverty. 3 months doesn't seem like a long time when compared to 20 years of marriage or 17 years of fatherhood, yet it feels like the most peaceful epoch I have experienced in 2 very turbulent years. Sitting here in my living room, in the quiet of the evening, watching my daughter focus on her homework at the dining table, I can finally feel the true weight of the word family and the price we paid to protect it. When my friend first showed me those photos of Cheryl raising a glass of champagne on that luxury yacht, the first emotion that washed over me wasn't the blind rage I would have expected. It was a profound sense of disgust mixed with a cold, clarifying shiver. I shuddered not because I missed the woman I had married, but because I realized I had shared a bed and a life for over 2 decades with someone capable of such calculating cruelty. She hadn't just cheated. She hadn't just manipulated our daughter's mind against me. She had staged an elaborate tragic play about financial ruin solely to wash her hands of the responsibilities of motherhood. She wanted the freedom to live a single, carefree life, and she was willing to discard her own flesh and blood to get it. That naked truth was agonizing, yes, but it acted like a scalpel, cutting away the final, cancerous attachment I had to her. I used to lay awake at night wondering if I was too soft for dropping the lawsuit, or if I should have been more vengeful. I wondered if I was letting her get away with murder. But looking back now, I realize that the greatest revenge isn't a court verdict or a defamation settlement. The greatest revenge is letting her live with her choices while Jenny and I live the rest of our lives free from her toxicity. Cheryl chose her personal freedom over her daughter. She signed those papers, terminating her parental rights without a trembling hand. In a twisted way, that moment was our liberation. We no longer have to live in fear of the next lie, the next manipulation, or the next heartbreaking drama. As for Jenny, she is stronger than I could have ever imagined, and that strength makes my heart swell with pride and break simultaneously. At 17, an age that should be defined by trivial high school drama and thinking about prom, she has been forced to accept the reality that her mother loves herself more than her child. When I told her the truth, that her mother wasn't broke, just selfish, Jenny just shrugged and said, "It doesn't matter anymore, Dad." I knew then that she wasn't being unfeeling. That was the callousness of a heart that has already scarred over. She was forced to grow up overnight. Her indifference to Cheryl's lies is a survival mechanism, the final wall she built to keep herself from crumbling. I still carry the guilt of that lost year. For 12 months I was erased from her life, painted as a villain in her story because of lies I didn't know were being told. Sometimes, I still have nightmares where I am standing on Cheryl's doorstep, being told I'm not welcome, feeling that crushing impotence. But then I wake up. I see Jenny's bedroom door open down the hall. I see her sneakers kicked off by the stairs, and I know the nightmare is over. I have learned that genuine love and patience eventually outlast deceit. Cheryl used every dirty trick in the book to brainwash our daughter, but the truth of who I am, and the 16 years of love prior to the divorce, eventually found a way back to the surface. That bear hug Jenny gave me the day she returned wiped away every ounce of resentment I felt for being abandoned. Now our life is simple, but it is real. We don't talk about Cheryl. Her name has become a ghost we don't summon, not out of fear, but because she no longer deserves a seat at our table. We talk about college applications, about new movies, about where we should go for a summer road trip. I am trying to make up for lost time, not with expensive gifts, but with presence. I want to be the constant in her life, the proof that a parent doesn't just walk away when things get inconvenient. I know the road ahead isn't entirely smooth. The psychological scars Cheryl left on Jenny are deep. You don't just get over being manipulated and discarded by your mother. There will be moments of pain, moments where she sees her friends with their moms and feels that hollow ache. But I will be there, steady as a lighthouse. I will prove to her every day that even if the world turns its back, even if the woman who gave birth to her chose a yacht over her graduation, her father is never going anywhere. I will be enough for both of us. I walked out of this marriage losing a wife, but I won my entire world back, my daughter. And to me, that trade was worth it. Cheryl can have her yachts, her boyfriends, and her superficial freedom. But she has lost the privilege of knowing the incredible woman Jenny is becoming. She has lost the right to be called mom with any sincerity. That is a hollow, lonely existence, one that will likely haunt her when the party ends and the silence sets in. As for me, I'm too busy being happy to care. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.